So, just 5 months after being widowed for a second time, July 1543, I was standing at Hampton Court, marrying the King of England. I was to be not only Queen of England, but the first Queen of Ireland, Henry having only recently acquired the title himself. Despite my 3 new stepchildren being present at our nuptials, I did not forget my 2 Neville stepchildren. Dear Margaret immediately became a lady-in-waiting. My stepson John's wife was also found a position at court. I am nothing if not loyal. Then I appointed my dear sister Anne to the top job, groom of the stool. My motto as Queen being to be useful in all I do. Perhaps it should have been, let's keep it in the family. I made sure that I attracted only those courtiers who were warm to the new religion. I would not miss out on my theological debates now that I was Queen, something that Stephen Gardiner was less than impressed with. If I were amazed by the beautiful garb I saw when first at court, I was to be overwhelmed by the gowns and jewels that I inherited from my tragic and young predecessor. But that did not stop me going on a spending spree of my own. Lavish and sumptuous fabric, jewels, adornments, plus I acquired 43 pairs of shoes. Believe me when I say I really was the it girl of my time. History will have you believe me a frumpy old nursemaid. History had better think again. Henry had some issues which it would be impolite to discuss openly. Suffice to say, our union was consummated. We would spend much time together in our bedchamber. He liked to see me dance in my black satin nightshift. But we also enjoyed simple things like music and conversation. We engaged in banter, a little wordplay. Oh, life wasn't all bad. Henry, though ageing and often infirm, still had that spark of charisma, and I would catch glimpses of the dashing, virile young prince he had once been. Oh, he did his best to make me happy. On a good day, he was certainly vibrant, charming and amusing. I learnt to be elsewhere on his bad days. Henry was still furiously fighting the French. He never did seem to learn. Heading his army once again in July 1544, despite his fragile health. He felt it important to his realm to stamp his authority across the English Channel. So he entrusted England into my hands. I became the first commoner to be made regent. I say commoner. There is a trickle of royal blood running through my veins. Henry and I, being third cousins, we share familial links with both the Nevilles and the Beauforts. Yet the king was not over keen on women wielding power, hence his obsession with a son. Only once had he left another to rule England as regent, Katherine of Aragon. But then the Spanish princess, the warrior queen, had all the royal credentials to do the job. Yet I surprised the king's advisers. I ruled England as would a king, something not lost on my youngest stepdaughter Elizabeth, as history will attest. Henry's religious beliefs were complex. Raised a Catholic, yet forced publicly to abandon his beliefs to secure that marriage to Anne Boleyn. He knew well the chaos he had created. Those around him always second-guessing, trying to align themselves with whichever way he leant on a particular day. I was drawn to evangelical Protestantism, hopefully the only thing in common with Anne Boleyn being that I too followed Luther. But no shrinking violet. I had a view. I surrounded myself with like-minded advisers: Matthew Parker, Miles Coverdale, my close friend Catherine Willoughby, the Duchess of Suffolk, and my uncle, Archbishop Cranmer. Why couldn't everyone have access to a Bible? This should be a right, yet some considered this a threat to Henry's position as the supreme head of the Church of England, and therefore heresy. I found time, away from ruling England in 1544, to publish my first book, Psalms or Prayers. But this is not women's work, thus I did so anonymously. But the following year, and growing in confidence, I published my second, Prayers or Meditations, under mine own name, becoming the first woman in England to do so, and the only Queen of England to become an author. Yes, it is fair to say I grew emboldened. The previous year, an act had been passed that restricted the reading of the Bible to nobles only, discouraging the common man access. Noble women were allowed to study the Bible, but only alone, and were strictly forbidden to engage in debate. Henry and I often discussed such matters, if a little heatedly. Clearly this did not relate to me. Despite these sometimes excitable, yet good-natured exchanges, generally we were happy together. The children and I adored one another, and it was recorded in ambassadors' dispatches that I was the epitome of good grace and kindness, adored by all, including His Grace, my husband, the King. It never occurred to me to feel anything but secure. However, unbeknown to me, Henry's advisers, particularly his new Lord Chancellor Thomas Wriothesley, had his ear. He convinced him that I was a threat to the new Church of England. My outspoken opinions began to shake the fragile foundations of this new order. Well, he said, "Let's get rid of her." He said, yes. My close friend Catherine Willoughby and I were aware of a fellow outspoken woman, one Anne Askew. She preached on religious reform, and yes, we had heard her speak, and yes, the movement was gaining momentum. But when this gentlewoman was arrested and horribly tortured by Wriothesley and his henchman Richard Rich, well, with our connection to her, we had much to fear. This girl said nothing at all that would implicate us. She made no plea of us, asked for no mercy. I cannot imagine what horrors she had endured. She was left so broken they carried her to the stake, where she sat, unable to stand, and was burnt. Mercifully, sympathisers had smuggled gunpowder onto the other condemned souls. I heard that their end had been swift when the fire exploded. A few days before Anne was murdered, my chambers had been searched and my books seized. They found no banned publications in my possession. Surely I had nothing to fear.